Hey guys, and welcome back to A&J Education YouTube channel. In today's video, we have a very special guest, Sam, who is currently in his second year of PhD at UCL, University College London, doing engineering. And Sam is here to share all his tips and tricks about how to make a competitive PhD application for engineering. Sam, great to have you.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so let's dive in. First of all, just briefly, why did you decide to do the PhD in the first place? You know, the pay isn't fantastic, it's stressful, it's hard work. You know, people clearly don't go into PhD for the money.
No, you have to be a bit bonkers to go into a PhD first and foremost, and I think once you accept that, then it makes getting into a PhD a lot easier. The reason I wanted to do it is because I felt at the end of kind of my masters, I was like, okay, there's still more I want to learn, and I want to expand my knowledge further, and if there's a way I can do that whilst trying to help people as well, then which through engineering means and kind of the bread and butter of my kind of background, then fantastic, kind of ticks all my boxes. So that's why I chose to do it. Mm-hmm. But I appreciate it is different for everyone, and not just with engineering, but with other topics as well. People do it for many different reasons. So, you know, as long as you want to do it is the main thing.
Got it.
And you find a topic that you enjoy.
All right. So, and how does PhD application work for engineering? So is it UCAS, you know, like for undergrad, or?
So there's different ways you can get into a PhD. You can either do it through your university. So kind of at Leeds, where I did my masters, I did speak to a few of the professors there, a few of my supervisors who oversaw PhD projects, and they said, okay, well, we've got a few coming up, so if you want to, we can give you the kind of application kind of in-house, so therefore you don't have to go via another route or external body. And that's normally a good way. If you're already in a university which you're enjoying and you like, and you know the staff there, and you have a good rapport with your professors, that's normally a good way to do it. You can do it via kind of, you can be in a working profession, so a professional doctorate, so whereby you're with a company, you're working with a firm, and then they sponsor you to go and do the PhD. And then that normally is done part-time, so you work part-time and you do your PhD part-time, but obviously it's with the company and they sponsor you for the uni.
And they kind of own you, so you do the research that they...
Yeah, it's a research topic which obviously benefits them, but at the same time it will also benefit you. And it's, you know, if you're not sure whether you want to do a PhD, you know, you're fresh out of university, you're looking for a job, you're deciding whether it's job or PhD, and you're not quite sure on a PhD, you know, it's something you can always come back to in later life. You know, we have PhD students at UCL who are in their 50s and 60s, so it doesn't matter about age. It's just really your investment in time and whether you want to do it. That's really what is key, and you know, is the crux of a PhD is that wanting to do it. So if you get into a job, that's a viable way. And then kind of the third way is through kind of external sites. So UCAS doesn't really play into it, as far as I'm aware, in the UK. But there are kind of external sites where the unis will post PhD positions, which is how I actually got into mine. So there's a brilliant site called findaphd.com, and that is worldwide. So we have universities from all over the world. They list their kind of current projects that they're going to put on, or they need applicants for. So they've normally have sourced the funding for the projects, and they just need a student to go and do it. And so that's really good. And you can filter them via kind of studentship ones where you are receiving a salary, or just kind of free ones, so where you don't necessarily get paid from them, but you can do it part-time, again, through a job. So again, that's a great way if you're already in work or you're not. You can kind of tailor the PhD search to what suits you.
Got it.
And that's for engineering as well. And you know, it has all the filters, and you can do it by topic of engineering, so mechanical, chemical, biochemical, etc. So again, really, really good way to get into PhDs.
Okay, no, that's really valuable. And what about actually making an application? So what are the components? Is there, you know, essay, references, kind of the usual stuff?
Yeah, so normally a cover letter is required, and a CV is the two main things that you need. Similar to like an undergrad application, you know, you send in your personal statement along with your kind of grades that you're doing. So with a PhD, obviously, they know you've assumed you've done an undergrad, and you only need an undergrad, like just a bachelor's to do a PhD. You don't need a master's. So that's a common misconception. You can go straight from undergrad into PhD. But yeah, no, just a cover letter explaining kind of a bit about you, where you've come from, what your background is, what your interests are, and then why you want to do this PhD, and what you can bring to the PhD as well, because obviously that's important.
Got it. So the cover letter is a bit like a personal statement.
Yeah.
Kind of, this is who I am. This is why I want to do this project. This is why me.
No, exactly. Yeah, it's just a different way of saying personal statement.
Yeah.
So
okay, the CV, is it? Do you include your job? Working at a pub part time.
Absolutely.
Is it relevant?
Yeah, absolutely. You want to flush out your CV, obviously without it being too long, because obviously these kind of processors will read loads of CVs. So you want to be concise with your CV, but you also don't want to omit anything. You need to include everything. So under like your education, I would say from kind of GCSE A level and then undergrad, if that's what you've done, or
with your grades.
With your grades as well, and also a key one in kind of where if you've done a degree, include the modules that you've done as just like as a list. So I just included all the modules that I'd done across the year from Leeds. So when I applied, I did my master's because obviously that was the most recent and relevant one, and included kind of the biomedical modules that I'd done, and then I did a short summary for my undergrad as well, and then I just put my GCSEs. I put the number that I obtained, the grades that the grades that I'd got, and then just obviously English, maths, and science was obviously the key ones. But once you've kind of got a degree, the GCSEs kind of tailor off, and it's just more about A levels degree, so that they can see its kind of consistency. So education is important. Any part-time work you've done, and include your roles and responsibilities as well. That's something that's normally missed. So you just say, I did 6 months part-time at a pub. But they want to know what you did and how that experience is going to help you with your PhD. So it could be like social skills. I was working at a pub, I was on the bar, I was dealing with customers, I was dealing with customer complaints. So it's showing that you've got that variety and that kind of accessibility to tap into the different skill sets to then be able to apply to a PhD.
And managing your time effectively, whilst
Absolutely.
juggling your studies and...
Yep, 100%. And also any other extracurricular activities. Another important thing, PhD is, we assume that we are soulless and we lose our time, and we wake up and we do the PhD, we go to sleep and we're still doing the PhD on our head and we don't have any free time. But actually, no, that's not 100%. It's a common misconception with PhD students. We do have a life. Sometimes. So any extracurricular activities you have, because again, those skill sets will also play in. And if you're showing that you've done a degree, you've worked part-time, and you've also, rowed or played rugby or football, or you've played a musical instrument or something like that, or you've been involved in a society somewhere, that shows, again, time management, you're able to time slice effectively, and also you have a nice plethora of skills that you can tap into.
Great. Sam, just quickly, by the way, guys, if... you're thinking of how to beef up your resume, check out my newsletter that I send out every 3 weeks with information on unique, really cool CV building events that you will not find anywhere else. So do check it out, and it's really low-hanging fruit stuff that you can do, that anyone can do to beef up their resume. Sam, just quickly, is there an interview as part of the PhD application?
Yes. So,
which is a major difference to the undergrad. Most universities
exactly.
do not.
You don't really have an interview, especially in the UK. You send in your CV cover letter. They'll have a look, and obviously if they want to kind of have you for an interview, they will, and then they'll invite you for an interview. Now, obviously, mine was over Zoom because it was during the time of COVID, and where obviously every meeting was on Zoom or Teams. And I don't know how it works in person, but I was asked to prepare a short presentation. So I kind of tapped into, and they didn't really specify what to present. So I kind of went back to my basics, and this is kind of what worked for me, and hopefully, it will work for someone else, is I tapped into what I had done. And so I kind of outlined, first of all, my understanding of the project, because obviously they know it better than you at that point. So I thought, I'll try and explain to them what I think the project is, so that they can see that I've tried to get my head around it and understand all the elements.
Yeah.
Then I'll talk about what I've done and how that then can impact those key elements, and then just a little bit about me as well, so kind of my interests, hobbies. And actually it turned out I shared a similar interest and hobby with one of my professors, and then subsequently, once I got the PhD, we organised kind of bike rides, and we actually did Chase the Sun, where we cycled the width of the country in a day, as a fun event. So really do make sure you kind of include everything in a presentation. Don't leave anything out. But obviously, again, it's all about making it concise and short. So you've just got to hit the key points. And that also is another skill which is really useful in a PhD, is being concise and being able to kind of, which I'm not doing now, being able to get the information across effectively.
That's a great point. And guys, just final one from me here that Sam hasn't mentioned, but the importance of references. And it's really important for you to invest in the relationship with your supervisors, whether at undergrad or masters. At undergrad especially, you don't really have a supervisor. You probably have a couple of professors, lecturers. So kind of invest in a relationship with a few of them, because there will be a time when you need some references, and it's significantly easier to do if you already have established links.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'd kind of almost completely forgot about references, because the way mine worked is I got given the PhD, like I got offered the PhD before I needed to supply references. So I knew I was going to, so then I did add my references in. But one of my references was the professor who supervised me during my dissertation at undergrad. So, all those years ago. And, he, bless him, he gave me a sterling reference, and that's because we worked really closely. So, yeah, that's absolutely key. Make sure that you are speaking to professors, you get a good rapport with them, because at the end of the day, they can give you the stellar reference that you need to get into a master's afterwards, or PhD or job.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
Or they can kill your application and kill your prospects as well. So,
make sure you're nice to them. Buy them a cup of tea occasionally.
Buy a cup of tea, and but there are ways how you can invest in that relationship, and we'll talk about it ages in various videos on this channel. In the courses that we do, but. Stuff like volunteer, they always have an extra data set, extra some work that they don't want to do, and would love to outsource it. Provide free labor. Volunteer, ask smart questions, be present. All this stuff doesn't cost anything, but can really help you out later down your PhD application. All right, Sam, listen, thank you so much.
Cheers.
Just top final 3 tips for PhD applicants.
Okay, find a PhD that you really want, that when you read the description of it, it really sparks your kind of interest and imagination. That's key. Number 2, go into it with an open mind. I went into a PhD thinking I knew what it was, and it wasn't. So had I gone into the initial, first 3-6 months of my PhD with an open mind, I may have had a different experience, and that's something I would want to try again.
Yeah.
So always keep an open mind going into it. And number 3, don't stress. PhDs are this kind of put upon a pedestal kind of qualification, whereas there is so much support. At UCL, there's been fantastic support. There's been so many opportunities for engagement and learning, and I know of other universities, and I'm sure that other universities will also provide that support. And if they're not doing it, you have to go out and find that for yourself. So be kind of proactive alongside, engage and have that support, and don't stress.
That's great. Sam, thank you very much.
Thanks so much. Cheers.